Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to Herzen's webinar today. We're going to be talking about Agile marketing. So today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about traditional versus Agile marketing. We're going to talk about how the Agile methodology can be applied to your marketing teams. We're going to talk about how being customer-centric approach can add a lot of value to your marketing teams. We're going to really kind of focus a little bit more on how Atlassian for Agile marketing. Russ will then go through a demo of how you can use some of the Atlassian tools as it relates to your marketing team. And we've been using Atlassian for marketing internally for a number of years. We'll go through the demo and then we'll get some Q&A at the end. And so when it comes to traditional marketing, it's really been the way that most organizations have worked. And what we find is that under traditional marketing, it really relies on a sequential approach. So you set up a campaign, it's planned, it's executed, and then you evaluate the results, right? And working in this way is a very highly structured approach. It requires a very precise plan to follow. It really does not allow you to stray from that plan. It's very inflexible. And so what's tough to do is it does not allow for any quick adaptation of market changes. And we saw this during the pandemic when companies had to really try to figure out, like, what do we do now? If people aren't able to come to the stores or work in the traditional ways, how do we adjust our marketing plans? And so what typically happens is we find that teams often work in very isolated or very well-defined hierarchies. And this really presents a number of specific challenges for those marketing teams. So what we've seen changing over time is really starting to work in a more agile approach when it comes to marketing. And agile marketing is really based on an iterative and collaborative approach, right? So it's a very flexible way of working when it comes to marketing that really enables companies to carry out and adapt quickly to market changes by continuously and regularly testing out their ideas. And so what this means is basically working on small projects, consistently testing the hypothesis, and then adapting them based on the results that we obtain through the testing. Agile marketing work is done in a very collaborative, multidisciplinary teams working together to achieve common goals. So a very different approach to the typical marketing approach that we've seen over the last number of years. So we kind of picked 4 values that apply to this. And what we've seen is that the 4 values that we're applying to marketing is, really focusing on individuals and interactions are more important than the process and the tools. What Agile does is it puts people and collaboration at the center instead of really focusing on that process. We talked about having a very rigid process in your traditional marketing and not being able to stray from that. So process can be important, but it's not the focus. Agile marketing really encourages collaboration among the team members, your clients, and the stakeholders to achieve what those goals are. The next piece is really, a working product is more important than a comprehensive documentation. So as it relates to Agile, it's essential to concentrate on creating a working product rather than having exhaustive documentation. In marketing, this translates to focusing on creating effective campaigns, valuable content for the audience, rather than having extensive details and upfront analysis. So a lot of times we talk about, getting something out to your customers sooner as opposed to having the perfect thing to get out to your customers. A lot of times we never find that perfect wording. And so what happens is it continues to delay, and then we miss opportunities because we haven't gotten something to the market or started marketing to our customers as quickly as we should. Customer collaboration is more important than content negotiation. And really what we mean by that is that the primary goal of Agile is to really satisfy customers' need through collaboration and continuous improvement. So that means as we get feedback from our customers, or maybe it's lack of feedback, we've seen customers put marketing plans together. They send out, emails, and they're doing social media platform, and they get no response. And no response is is an indicator just as much as responses. And so in marketing, it really means working closely with the customers, involving them in the creative process, and really carefully listening to the feedback so we can optimize any ongoing campaigns or as we plan our future initiatives as to where that focus should be, as we're understanding where the customer's pain points are or what's important to them. And really the last value that we focus on when it comes to being more agile in our marketing approach is responding to change is really more important than following a plan. So we talked about traditional, having that structured process, having that plan where we need to follow these steps. Having an agile approach really emphasizes on the flexibility and the adaptability to respond quickly to a customer's needs and as markets change, right? So in marketing, this means being prepared to modify strategies, change your tactic based on campaign results, and really starting to be able to take advantage of emerging trends. So understanding what's important to people, what are the trends that are out there. We've internally kind of joked about using TikTok as a platform to market, right? And I was reading something that talked about, I think like 70 or 80% of the younger generation use TikTok as their search engine. So they're not going to Google to search on how to do things. They're going to TikTok how to do it, which I find really interesting. So understanding where your demographics are going for their information really can help you identify where you should be spending your time. And so really starting to using different types of agile methodologies for marketing, right? So using agile methodologies to improve your marketing strategy is really the way to employ these methodologies into marketing. And we talked about this, being able to adopt a more iterative, experimental approach, first and foremost, really defining your specific objectives, creating an action plan to achieve what's crucial, and then next, have the marketing team really focus on utilizing these methodologies to monitor their progress, to really review and adapt with ongoing activities, and also to really devise new approaches. So these approaches could be based on the results that you get back, the feedback that you get, and again, making sure that it really is an iterative approach and process that's really continuously improving the approach to your marketing. So understanding what's working, understand that feedback, what's not working, and how do we adjust for the next phase of our marketing plan. What we see with different methodologies for marketing, so Kanban, and Kanban really is a process for management that uses cards. So I really say, think of like a giant board with sticky notes, right? You have your to-dos, you have your in process, you have your done. And really, and that's more a very simplified version of it, but this methodology really helps to keep the workflow organized and really allows everyone to understand where things are in process. And again, we have a number of companies that use this approach. The next approach that we see is kind of a design thinking is what it's termed. And this is really more of a problem-solving method that focuses on understanding what the problems are from the customer's perspective. So we talked about being customer-centric, and that really means focusing on, looking at this through your customer's eyes. And what this does is this allows for creating customer-oriented and innovative solutions. This methodology can really improve upon the customer experience and create more effective products and services. We see a lot of organizations as they're going through the marketing, it's selling benefits and features, right? So a lot of companies get hung up on, well, what's the benefit of our tool, as opposed to, well, what's the problem or the pain point that the customer is trying to resolve? And we may have a benefit or feature that does that, but it's in how we present that benefit or feature to allow the customer to feel like, hey, they understand my issues, they understand my concern. This company is really listening to how I feel and what I need, and being able to adjust that to your marketing platform will help you improve upon your agile approach to marketing. The next one is sprint, and this is an agile methodology that really defines a specific objective creates an action plan to achieve them. And this methodology is often used to create new marketing campaigns. We see it, to launch new products or services. It can also be used to manage complex projects. One of the things that we see is a customer journey. And in this, it's a methodology that involves mapping the customer's journey through all the stages of their experiences with this particular product, from understanding what the product does, to the purchase of the product, to the utilization of their product, and then what that post-sale support looks like from a company or organization standpoint. And this really identifies how a organization should have different touch points for the customer as they go through that journey. The last one we'll touch on real quick is A/B testing. And this is really a methodology that involves creating two versions of a marketing element. So maybe it's two different web pages, it's two different emails. You send those emails out, and then you get that feedback. You understand which one had a better response, which one maybe had a negative response, and then adjust based off of that A/B testing. The three tools that we will kind of focus on a little bit more are going to be, Jira, Trello, Confluence. There's Jira Work Management, which is really designed for non-IT teams. Jira is more of a, it's a project management tool that can be utilized to track different marketing projects. Trello, I don't know if any of you have seen Trello, but Trello is more kind of that Kanban approach, where it's, basically you have the Post-its in the board. It can be a way to track your marketing plans. And then Confluence it can be a knowledge management tool that's also used to store any type of documentation material. You can store videos, you can store PDFs, and so a lot of the organizations that we work with use it as really their repository for the content that they might be using for marketing. And so let's talk a little bit about kind of the benefits of the Agile marketing with Atlassian. And some of the areas that we really find that it provides improvement is, one, its flexibility. And if you've worked with any type of the Atlassian, Jira in particular, you understand how flexible the tool can be. And what's nice about it is that we talked about being able to adapt quickly to market changes for customer needs. This flexibility really enables real-time modification to your marketing strategy. So maybe it's a change in workflow, maybe it's a change in process, maybe it's a change of timing, but the ability to make those changes almost instantly, and that flexibility really lend to one of the benefits of working with the Atlassian tools. Improved efficiency. So, Agile marketing really employs the agile and collaborative work process, and you want to be able to manage as many tasks as possible and to manage those efficiently and effectively. And this process and these tools really provide that insight, especially as we see, we work with a number of organizations that have multiple teams in marketing, maybe have 10 different teams, and those 10 different teams might be working on 30 different marketing projects, right? And so as a manager or as a C-suite, how do I know where these things are in flight? And being able to track that information is really important, which then it ties into this efficiency and effectiveness. Cost reduction, really Agile marketing helps to reduce the unnecessary or redundant marketing materials cost. It can really focus your resources on the most relevant activities, such as like enhancing the overall marketing process overall. Also, it can reduce the number of tools that you might need. So instead of having 3 different tools that you're paying access to, maybe it's through the Atlassian suite that provides that cost reduction. Enhanced quality, and so again, what the marketing through the Agile marketing really fosters kind of that collaborative communication among marketing team and members. By having that engagement and that cross breaking down those silos, we start to see better quality and we start to see better outcomes with our marketing results. And then the last one is that continuous feedback. So allowing the organization to see what's going on internally, but also allowing the teams to communicate and understand, the results of what those marketing efforts have been, and to quickly adjust based on that.
So let's talk about agile marketing. So obviously, picking a methodology and kind of sticking to it definitely can make your a team more productive. Kind of drive the more reliable results. But you've got a tool that can kind of help you achieve that. And so, as I said before, you have two kind of different activity streams that come in at your team, right? Your day-to-day, as well as kind of a support type of request. And so I wanted to offer kind of a look at those two, kind of having compare and contrast and how that would work. And then showcase a little bit of new features that kind of came out on the platform, and hopefully get you guys excited. And maybe if you're not, if you're using the tools, you get to use it a little more, or if you're not, and get you a little excited and see if you can to purchase some licenses for your teams. And so just kind of a very quick overview. When you get to Jira, there's a number of landing pages that you can get to when you put in your name and the password. And so your work, I feel, is definitely a good way to kind of start your day. You're able to look at everything that you've worked on, so right, the context of previous day, 2 days, 3 days, and so all of the issues that you touched, anything that you viewed in the past, right? So that will show. And one thing that I want to make sure that we concentrate on, it's not only the issues that that you're going to be seeing. You're going to see a filter. You should be able to see the projects, the boards, and so on and so forth. Obviously, anything that you have assigned. I mean, I do such a great job that I got nothing assigned to me. All my work is tidied up. And if there's anything that that you starred, meaning like created as a favorite, which I haven't, but you can have some of those created, and then the favorites will show up here, and so a great shortcut to where you need to go. On top here, you got the recent projects. You'll be able to kind of look at them, and just to give you an idea of how this would work, you're not kind of stuck reinventing the wheel. When you go in and you create a project, Atlassian actually has a ton of different templates, and they have a bunch for marketing. And so right out of the box, you can take a look at, you can have a go-to-market project. You can go campaign management, content management, event planning, email campaign. And so there's bits and pieces that are a part of it that allow you to get started right away. And of course, in Jira fashion, you can add other fields, change workflows, so customize it to the process that your team works in. And as I said before, when it comes to mind in terms of working, because marketing team is more of like a business team, if you will, it's the work management that makes sense to start using. And so not only that you have the marketing templates, but there's a bunch of others that's available from Atlassian. And so let's take a look at the marketing content. This is the Jira work management style template. And so first, what I wanted to kind of throw at you is that there's a summary on the project, and it kind of gives you a insight into what's going on, how many issues you got, what is the recent activity, what has been updated, what has been created, anything that's due, anything that's past due, right? So 0 done and so on. How many things have done in the last day or in the last 7 days? What you got coming up in terms of what needs to be done in the next 7 days, and so you can have this outlook into what's going on within your project. You can see the team load. You can see any related projects that are there, the priority breakdown, if there's anything that's critical high, so you can you'll be able to call that out. And then of course the breakdown of the of the issue types within your project. So the new feature in Jira kind of takes it a step further. So they give you an ability to do an overview. And so basically, it's not only the project that you necessarily looking at right now, but also you can bring other projects and combine the overview for them in one single dashboard. And so very similarly, this is actually a view of multiple projects kind of brought together. And so if you want to look at, say, if your team works in, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects, you can actually bring those projects into a single view and have a look at what's going on with the multiple projects at the same time. And they break it down a little bit further. You can take a look at the calendar view, see anything that's when it's running, when it's due, and so on. And then, kind of the same thing, a very similar view. You have a little bit of a roadmap, right? You'll be able to see that kind of on the timeline as well. Have that in quarters, months, really tailored to where you want it to be. And so kind of going back to my marketing content project, right? So we started with the summary. Really, like any other Jira project, Jira Service Management, Jira Work Management project is a collection of issues. And so if we look at a list view, right, that we can still customize like any other project, you'll see that it's just a collection of issues. Now, everything else except for this one new feature is essentially a different view on these issues that you have going on, right? And so let's start with the first one. It's a board. And so as Greg was saying, that look, we can use a Kanban type of methodology to do work within your marketing team. And so this view allows you to do that, right? You can essentially go from status to status, literally dragging things around, or you can just go ahead and throw that into a next complete status, and then keep going from status to status depending on the type of work that you're doing. This board is still controlled by the workflow. So if you have the workflow that doesn't allow you to go from a status directly to complete, and you saw that going from ready to review to try and throw it to complete, it doesn't allow me to do that. So that still is reinforced within the Jira Work Management. And so if you have a little bit more rigid process, you'll be able to stick to that. Moving forward, you got the list view. This is basically an easy way to look at everything that you got in your project. This is all instantly modifiable, and so if I want to go ahead and change a summary, if I want to put it into a different status, right, and only show me what's available. If I want to assign it to somebody else, I can do that. If I can change, any of the fields that make sense, you can change in line and have the items and the fields you can add on the fly or take out and so on. And that will only utilize the fields that are available for your project. You can filter things down if you want to just see everything for. Let's see who we got here. Alana Grant, and so that'll filter this thing down. And then so on and so forth. So really trying to customize it and make it yours is what this is all about. The next view that I wanted to cover is a calendar view. Very simple. It shows you all the issues that you got within the system, and it throws them on the calendar. Obviously, some of these issues have been on the calendar for quite a long time, but if you have more than what's can fit onto a calendar view on your screen, you can click through for more and kind of see everything that you got in there. Timeline we already covered. You've got a basic kind of a road mapping, and it's still interactive. You can move things around. You can start. You can make them longer. You can make them shorter. And basically all of that will translate directly into the Jira issues. And so the one, this actually said there's one feature, there's actually two, right? So the one that I want to start with is essentially pages. And this is an integration into existing Confluence space. So you're to start this out, you're able to bring this a Confluence space into essentially into your Jira project, and it gives you this instant view without kind of switching context. You can either create a page, right, or you can open up a page that's in the Confluence right within your Jira, so you don't have to go back and forth between the tabs, go around and look at things. And so I can look at this. I can even modify it if I want to, but that will take me straight into the Confluence so that I can do my modifications here. So we're going to close this up. It'll actually leave me in the a marketing space in the Confluence that I have connected into my project. The one thing that I want to call out here, and this is actually a pretty neat new feature that Atlassian has been pushing out, and some of the instances out there do have it. You've got an ability to create different type of context. So before we had a page and the blog, now you actually create a whiteboard. And so we've seen a lot of different teams, including the marketing teams, utilizing these. And so you gotta, this is the one that's being used a lot. We've seen on the marketing team, the elevator pitch when you're trying to engage a customer and so on. And so there's many different ones that are available, and there's templates that that you can add in here and save as you want, or you can start empty. So if to kind of get us started, if I want to do like let's say a disruptive brainstorm template, I mean, essentially you just throw that on and save it, and then you have your a whiteboard saved exactly in the space that you started out from. And so really nice, a very good feature. You can check it out. If you have it, it's definitely coming your way very soon. The second one, and this is actually there is a reason I left it for last. It's forms, right? So you're basically able to have your customers create issues without necessarily having access to Jira or to your project. You can take a form and give them a URL and go ahead and create, ask them to create the issues from the form without going in and being part of the project. And so I'm going to create one. You'll hit submit, and obviously there's everything's applies. If you have any of the required fields, you'll have them. And so if I'm going to go back to sorry, not my summary, but to my board, or actually rather my list, and I unapply my filter. There's your there's my test that I just created through the form, and essentially it's the same thing. I mean, you take the fields that are populated on the form, and essentially you're able to fill those in.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah.
So with this, if example being, if does someone need a license in order to have access to the form? I guess first of all.
So there's two options. So you can yes, you do, but this kind of opens it up to you have to have a Jira license, not necessarily Jira service, a Jira work management license. So basically, anybody within Jira can be a creator, but they don't necessarily need a Jira work management license. So if they have a Jira software license, they can use that to create the forms or to create a request through forms here.
Okay. I'm just saying, I had a conversation with a potential customer the other day about, they have different departments that may need to request a new campaign as an example. And so would this form be something that they could use for that, or would there be a different way to approach that?
So, and that's the reason why I left this for last. So you can do it like this, right? And so this is actually marketing content request, right? And so you're able to do that, and you can see that the form here is more elaborate, so you can drag and drop the fields on here, to what's available, and have them required, not required, and so on. And so you can have that exposed and have people fill this out. The other part of it is you're not only you're not really limited to necessarily your work management, right? Remember I said that every team is a service team, including marketing team, and so you can have a portal if you use Jira Service Management. You can actually have a marketing portal, right, and have your customers request the what they need from there. And so and so this is kind of the compare and contrast. If you have a large organization, it definitely makes sense not to have everybody in Jira, right? And so if you want to submit a request, if you do it through the portal, you don't really need a license. You submit a request and it gets worked by a marketing team on the other end. And essentially, just like any other form, you fill this out, and you can see this is pretty elaborate. It will end up in the queue for the marketing department to take a look at. Do we still have a little bit more time? I have a couple more things I want to cover, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think you're good.
All right, sounds good. And so, just trying to break it down. I mean, this is fairly straightforward. If you have a ticket as a marketing team member or agent, you can start working on the ticket, and all of the Jira a workflow and all of the process still apply. What I do want to show is that you can actually break down the work that's coming into your queue. They opened up a new a feature called organizations. It's been there in Jira Service Manager for a while, but now you can actually kind of drill in and take a look at what's going on within the organization itself. And so expectation is you may have multiple organizations requesting things from you. And so in our case, we have Atlassian Enterprises. So if I'm going to click on this, I actually kind of have a view into the organization. I can see who is part of the organization. I can see any of the attributes for the organization. It's actually very easy to modify. I can actually create a field and say, organization, let's call it a phone number. And I mean, essentially, I just throw on the phone number on the form, it gets saved, and I can answer the phone number into and have that as a part of. So if I need to have a little bit more context in terms of what the organization is, I can have that now and have it as a part of the my view. Not only that, but I can see that there is requests that's been opened up, through the organization, right? And so I will say, hey, let me see, who opened up a request. Let's say I want to click on, let's say, Elvin, right? And I can see that, hey, Elvin is, from company Satoni. He's, here's all his information, and here's the request that he's got open. So you can kind of zero in and look at this information from different perspectives, right? And have that, drill down through multiple layers to get exactly what you need and end up exactly in a ticket that you need to be looking at. Maybe he called up and you can say, hey, I'm from this organization and I work for this company, and I have a ticket. And so you'll be able to kind of drill through that and take a look at the actual ticket. And kind of at the same time, you can unify all your customers under the same umbrella. And so instead of just kind of going in and choosing between the different organizations, you can have all the customers from all the orgs be part of this one view, and then you can go ahead and search for them. When you do add customers to this view, you do get to choose the organization they're part of, and that'll automatically put them into the organization. So if you're going to be adding those customers in here, you'll be able to choose the organization and they're part of. And so kind of the same fashion, you can go ahead and click on Max Taylor and take a look at the issue that he has opened up for you to work on. That's really all that I have for the demo. I mean, this is kind of a quick overview of what's possible and what's out there, and kind of different views of how you can treat or how you can use Jira and Confluence to kind of further your team and keep everybody more productive, hopefully.